Jake had always been a tomorrow kind of person. He promised himself he'd start the new diet, take that trip, call his old friend, or even finally start his dream project, just not today. Today, he was too busy with work, too caught up in the endless grind. He'd get to it, eventually. But that eventually kept slipping away, and Jake couldn't seem to notice how quickly the days were passing. His life felt like a series of tomorrows stacked up, and yet nothing was really changing. One afternoon, Jake received a phone call that shook him to his core. His best friend, Mark, had been in an accident. He was in the hospital, and doctors weren't sure if he'd make it. The world around Jake seemed to freeze. He remembered all the times Mark had suggested they go on an adventure, explore the world, or just take time to hang out. But Jake had always put it off. Now, it felt like too late. What if I never get the chance to make things right, he thought. The guilt weighed on him heavily as he rushed to the hospital. When Jake arrived at the hospital, he was told Mark was in surgery and wouldn't be conscious for hours. Sitting in the waiting room, his mind raced. He thought about all the moments he had let slip by, moments he could have cherished, moments with people he loved. What was I waiting for? He wondered. He had spent so much time waiting for the perfect time to live that life had passed him by. As he sat there, staring at his phone, Jake realized how foolish he had been. Life wasn't a list of to-dos, it was now, and he had been wasting it. Hours later, the doctor finally came out and delivered some good news: Mark would be okay. He had pulled through, though it would be a long recovery. When Jake went to visit him in the ICU, Mark's first words were, "Jake, you're here. I thought you might have been too busy." Jake smiled weakly, not knowing how to explain how much regret he was carrying. "I'm here now," Jake said softly. Mark gave him a knowing look and said, "Don't wait too long to live, man. Tomorrow's never promised." The words hit Jake harder than anything he'd ever heard. He finally understood. Life was too short to wait. It was time to make it count. From that moment on, Jake made a promise to himself: no more waiting. He started calling the people he had put off, rekindled friendships, traveled to places he had dreamed about for years, and even began working on that dream project he had always pushed aside. He realized that every day was an opportunity to live fully, to make memories, and to not let life pass by unnoticed. It wasn't about waiting for perfect moments, it was about creating them.